Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. It's Adam, Southern Guy Paranormal. So, yeah, as I said last week, I've been put through the mill, and it seems like I'm being continued to be put through the mill at the moment. Yeah, as you can see behind me, the Africa Twins in bits. And what happened Thursday before last, I was running late for my evening job, my DJ work in Brentwood, and I had a client in Renal. Obviously the job I do is transport. They were running behind, which obviously had a knock-on effect on me getting back to the work I do. And consequently, because they was an hour behind it had a knock-on effect with me getting to Brentwood in a kind of timeline that I like, as opposed to rushing around and forgetting things, which is what I did. Yeah, so basically what happened, I'd forgotten a box while working Benfleet. I'd come back, grab the box and go. Totally forgot to put the Honda away. And when I got back Thursday night, parked up here, and something was missing. The Honda, my twin, Africa Twin was missing. I was flipping somersaults. With what's going on at the Triumph, and I'll get onto that in a minute. You know, this is nearly the straw that broke the camel's back. So you can see it's stripped down at the moment. Basically, to get to anything on this bike, you've got to pull the whole thing apart. Obviously I pulled bikes apart before, but not something as new as this, which has got so much more gubbins than all the bikes I've owned previously. You know, the petrol tank's got like about 5 fittings on it. You know, I mean, the battery, for example, is there. Every bike that I'm used to, and probably most of you, if you ride, normally under the seat, but on the Honda Twin, yeah. And it's all to do with the Hondas. When I designed this, it was a mass centralisation thing to keep the physical bulk of it to a minimum when you're riding, which is true. It doesn't feel like a bike of its stature. So in that respect, Honda have done their homework. Yeah, I mean, where do I begin with this? I just literally had a new chain and sprocket. Well, I just literally fitted a new chain and sprocket. That in itself was quite a simple job. I've had, just had a new front tyre done. Yeah, and it's, the MOT's around the corner, so I had to make sure that was done. And the chain was like nickel elastic. Yeah, so I say, come back Thursday night, gone. And I didn't know what to do, but something told me to take a walk down the drive out into the main road, because I live on a slope. The natural progression for something this size is you let it roll downhill. You ain't going to push this uphill because you'll be very sweaty very quickly. So I got down to the bottom of the hill, and there's a dead end the other side of this road, and I could see something lying on the ground. Immediately I knew what it was. I mean, you can see there, that's the where it landed. Fortunately, the bars took I'll give Honda their dues. These are Honda bars, they're not aftermarket, and they have saved it from more serious damage. All right, yeah, I've got a scuff there on the saddle. I'm not concerned about that. Yeah, so I managed to wheel the bike back. When I looked it over, they cut through the ignition and the immobiliser system as well, which is what's called HISS. I think it's Honda Ignition Security System, something like that. No, I would say this bike has had, because someone actually tried to nick this early on this year. I can't remember if I mentioned it or not. If you go back 6 months, it was around the start of the year, February, March time. One of the saving graces about this bike is its size and its weight. You know, if it all's a big shiny thing, we'll have that, and then they take it down the road, and it's like, well, crumbs, this is a big heavy bike, and it is. To wheel around, it ain't. You know, you do have to think about it. With my Thunderbird, even though it's only like 20 kilos lighter than this, because it's a physically smaller bike, I find that very easy to push around. This, because it's tall, is harder. So that's been one of its saving graces. It's a big bike. I mean, it doesn't look quite like that now because it's on obviously the screens are all off and everything. But once this is all fitted, it stands about 6 foot tall at the fairing, at the top of the fairing. So yeah, I mean, that was one of its saving graces, with the fact that it's a big tall bike, and it's not the sort of thing you can just stick in, stick down an alleyway or whatever. Well, so that was one thing, and the other thing, and I've got to give Honda their dues. I don't know about the other manufacturers, but yeah, the HIS system actually saved it as well. And basically, how that works, it's very similar to systems you've had in cars for the past 30 or 35 years, having a transponder in the key. So literally the only way you can start this, you need the key, because when you put the key in, as I say, I've wired it up now. So fortunately the electrics all seem to be working. Yeah, so you put the key in and immediately you see the little hiss light flashing. It's recognising my key. There he goes. Obviously I can't start it, there's no petrol, but the light's been gone out and that's all flashing because the tank's off. So yeah, I've got some stuff to do yet, but that was its other saving grace. They tried to hotwire it, they couldn't, because the immobiliser system wouldn't let them. The only way you can start one of these bikes is with this, and it's not because it's ignition, it's because there's a transponder in there, like just the same as a car. It's the only way you can start it. And if you want to take the bike, replace the whole ignition system, you're looking about £1,100. So anyone else that wants to have a crack, feel free, because I'm I can't believe there's been 2 attempted thefts on this since this year. It's just done my head in. So yeah, anyway, hopefully I'll fix ignition. So I'm going to do a partial rebuild, because the only positive thing I'm going to get out of this is, if there's any, is I fitted a charger. It's a like phone holder, but it's actually got a wireless charger, and I haven't wired it in yet because the wiring on this again and the fittings are somewhat more complicated than anything I've been used to before. So hopefully it'll give me the chance to do that. So it's the only positive I'm going to take out of this. Otherwise, it's, this has physically done me. And the best is yet to come, because the MOT's run out. So once I've got to put this back together, I've then got to take it for an MOT. It's just, yeah, I'm boom. I really don't know what to say. So yeah, anyway, that's the Africa Twin. That in itself wasn't the only problem I've had. On the Saturday of last week, what is now last weekend, I took a drive over to Chatham with the dinghy in the back of the car to go for what I planned to do, because I've been, as you know, I've been having issues with the outboard cutting out, but it seemed all right, so I thought, well, I'll give it a go. I've just had this out to give it a wash down. I've bought a little, because I ain't got a hose, I bought one of these things, which seems to do the job quite well. So yeah, took the dinghy out into the Medway, and with the plan being to visit the or to do site visit of the two forts that's in the Medway, and just get a good idea of where I'm going to land and all that when we do go and do a proper film over there. I literally got about 5 minutes out, the engine packed up. I ended up running back to shore, which took ages because I was struggling with the current there. That's water current, not as in current bun. I'm sorry about this. I've been, as I say, I've been up for sick the last sort of week, 10 days. So yeah, rode back to shore, and I thought, well, I'm not going to have a complete waste of the day, because obviously it's cost me fuel to get over to Chatham, and a bridge tolls as well. But I don't want to have a completely wasted day. I had my drone with me. I thought I'll fly that out, at least I can try and get a good idea of the islands. So I've gone out to the first island, and then flew over to the second. My DJI fly out beeped up saying that the battery's low. So it started returning to base, like fair dues. The only problem was that it was quite windy on the Saturday, and the wind was knocking my drone, so the battery was getting knocked, trying to keep it on a steady flight back to base. The crux of it was the drone didn't get back to base. It landed 10 foot. Sorry. It got so far, and then it said, I'm landing. Now, the tide was out, but it was still going to land in water. So I tried to take a bit of manual control over it. I tried to push it forward. It was still flying back, but then it just got to a point where we said, I've had enough, and it just made a controlled landed, and it landed in the mud, not in it, on it. I tried to get it back, but the further and further I was walking into the mud, the more I was sinking in, and I was about 10 feet away from the drone, and I was up to my thighs, and I thought, if I go any further, I'll show you my shorts. Actually, I've just left them out here. I just dumped them. I never bothered. Yeah, you can see there. That's the state of my shorts. That's how far up the mud got to me. Couldn't go any further. I'd have been stuck fast. So I had to cut my losses and wrote off one Mavic Air 2 drone. Cost me £700. So that's one drone down. That's one drone binned. That's how it is. What else? Yeah, you see the motor kit conking out. That's currently around the mates, having a service and such. See if we can suss out what's wrong with it. In the meantime, I did actually discover another dinghy and outboard. These come up a marketplace on Facebook it was 75 quid to start with, and I thought, it literally popped up, and I'm like, I'm going to jump on that. There's got to be something I can have out of it, And I contacted the lady, and she said she's had so much interest, but I'll be better go 100 quid. And I'm like, yeah, do you know what? All right, I'll get my money's worth out of that. So this is what I ended up with. It's a Johnson 3, and this Zodiac. That's it, Zodiac S126. So Johnson and Evinrude, same two cheeks of the same backside. But what was interesting with this was that not only did I get those bits, but it came with these boards, all right, which you put them in the base before you pump it up, and it gives you a sturdy base for the boat. Makes it helps it in the water, and obviously for you to get in and out. And interestingly, these actually fit my Avon, so I've got quite a win out of this. It comes with some oars. There's a pump. There's a pump over there. Sorry about the mess. When I've got the bike sorted out, I'm going to go through this with a tooth comb and try and get rid of a load of crap. Yeah, in that bag there's about half a dozen bottles of two-stroke in various states of use. There's probably about 60 quid's worth of two-stroke in there. A couple of the oars, yeah, as I say, that come the dinghy and the outboard. Now, what I have found with the outboard, with the dinghy, is when I pumped it up, it had some blisters, which are not good because this is made out of PVC, whereas the Avon is Hypalon. It's a much better material, but the PVC was coming away from the material of the dinghy. So I'm going to try something. It'll either work or it won't. I did cut through where the blisters were. I'm going to glue the PVC back to the material with some PVC glue. It turned out the stuff I bought was for Hypalon, which can't use a PVC, vice versa. So I'm going to get the proper glue. Stick these down. I've got some marine tape that covered whatever cracks are left over. It won't look pretty, but if it works, it works. If it don't, and obviously I'll just have to cut my losses with the boat itself. I can probably, the ropes will probably still come in handy and blah blah blah. But what was interesting was the Johnson. Now, I initially had an issue with it. It was difficult to start, and it only ran at high revs. I then discovered, schoolboy error, on top of here, you have to undo that valve, and it allows air into the tank. Oh, I was such a stupid idiot. Once I sussed all that out, it started up, and it runs fine. I've just got to give it a shakedown, which I'm going to do, hopefully tomorrow. Now I've got the wiring done on that, I can start putting the bits back on it. Yeah, and I'm going to take that out for a run tomorrow, see how I get on with it. If I'm happy, then I'm going to take that to, I'm going to visit Chatham again at some point this week, and hopefully get a proper view. So, yeah, it's, I thought I washed out with this. As it turns out, no, that's okay. Yeah, I've got the boards as too, so I think I've got me money's worth just with that alone. You can buy them for about $150 on their own, so I've done all right with that. Yeah, and obviously that's the new Saab. I'm selling the old one. I'm probably going to do an extra thing this week. I've just been, as I say, with what's happened, I've just been so tied up. Yeah, I've been using this for a fair bit. It's lovely. So there's body work, which you can see. The lacquer's coming away as a little dent and scratches and things, but car itself I'm happy with. So as soon as I'm up to scratch with everything else, oh yes, the Triumph, I will go on to that. As soon as I'm up to scratch with everything else, then I'll get the cosmetics done on this. So yeah, just one last thing. The Triumph. God, where to begin with the Triumph? Now, as you know, it had a problem with the cam chain. That then translated to a cam guide that had broken up. Once the cam guide had broken up, the chain started hitting into the casing, which wore away over where the cam guide should sit. The head then had to come off because the cam guide actually sits in a groove in the block. The only way you can get it in there is to take the head off. But he had to do that anyway to Dremel out where the metal had smashed over a little bit, so he's had to cut a little bit out. So that was that. Yeah. God, what else? Oh yes. I was to check the shims and that, and found some leaky valves. So they're being reground and that. Yeah, what started out as a bill that should have been 300-400 quid, you can add another grand onto that. So I'm going to be looking at, I don't know, 1,500. I don't know, But what I do know is I'm going to have a 4-figure bill to get the Triumph repaired. It's just how it's going. Yeah, and top it off, I've had some crap in my personal life. Someone putting their oar into my life and screwing it up, basically. And yeah, that's how it goes. So hopefully onwards and upwards from now. I don't know what's going to be coming up content-wise this week. I'm going to try and get something up. I'll get something edited one way or the other. Put it up this Thursday. I might think about taking another little break at the moment with everything that's going on. Try and get some order back in my life, because at the moment it's so chaotic. And right, I'm going to leave it there. As I say, hopefully next week I'll be on a bit of a bright. I'll be on a. I'll have a much brighter note, shall we say? Yeah. Anyway, love and light to you all. God bless everybody, and have a good week. Thank you. Bye bye. So, after I've attempted theft, I've done the rewiring. Let's see what happens. Ignition on. That's a good start. Yeah, all dashes looking well. Hit start. We can hear the petrol pump. And fire. Lo and behold, she's alive. Now she's got to put all this back together. Great fun, eh? Thank you, Thieves.